Hello everyone, it's me Samuel Taylor Ackroyd and good morning from Frankfurt Airport in Germany. Today I am going to be flying with Lufthansa to New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport on board the Queen of the Skies, the Boeing 747. So let's head over to Frankfurt Airport's Terminal 1 and head through security and wait for our flight to New York. Lufthansa operate from Terminal 1 at Frankfurt Airport. The terminal is easily accessible by foot if you're staying at an airport hotel like I was. Frankfurt Airport also has a few free buses that go around certain areas of the airport, like the hotels, terminals, and car rental places. Terminal 1's check-in area has a very modern design and also has a retro departure board, at least in Departure Hall C for Charlie, which is where I entered the terminal. My flight was departing from Concourse Z for Zulu, so I had to walk from Concourse C to Concourse Z. It was very easy to find my way around the terminal as there are very clear signs scattered all over the place. Security is up this escalator, however, when I reached security, I actually got there before it had opened. I got there 25 minutes before security was scheduled to be opened. For future reference, security for Concourse Z is scheduled to be opened at 6 a.m. Security took roughly 15 minutes to clear, and the staff were very friendly and helpful at security. Once through security, you have to walk through the duty-free store, which has an excellent selection of snacks, perfumes, alcoholic drinks, and so much more. I didn't buy anything from the duty-free store that morning. There isn't really a lot in terms of shops in Concourse Z, but there are a few bakers, which makes sense because Germany is famous for bread. There is also a bar near the duty-free store. I found a few seats which allow you to put your feet up, which is definitely not a common thing to see at an airport. After killing some time waiting for my flight to New York, I made my way over to the gate. There are a few more shops and restaurants like McDonald's in this part of the concourse, however the selection is rather underwhelming. I also found a place near the gate where you can charge your devices before your flight, which comes in handy. Now, if you're an aviation enthusiast like me, you will love the views at Frankfurt Airport, especially if your favourite aircraft is the Boeing 747. At just after 9:50 a.m, we can see the aircraft taking us to New York being pulled up onto gate Z62, which is the gate we would be boarding the aircraft from. The aircraft taking me to New York's JFK airport today is a 24-year-old Boeing 747-400 registered as Delta-Alpha Bravo Victor Whiskey. Fun fact, this aircraft is the 1,205th 747 ever built by Boeing, and the aircraft performed its first flight on the 4th of March 1999. It was delivered to Lufthansa 9 days later on the 13th of March 1999. At this point, my excitement for this flight grew bigger because the Boeing 747 is my favourite aircraft type and I was going to fly on one. In fact, flying on board a 747 was actually the reason for this trip to New York City. I was also wearing my Boeing 747 Queen of the Skies t-shirt for the occasion. When the aircraft was parked up, I couldn't resist the opportunity to take a selfie with the Queen of the Skies. Soon after the 747 parked at the gate, I got this email from Lufthansa notifying me that the flight would be delayed by 15 minutes and we wouldn't depart until 11:20 a.m. We wouldn't actually depart until 11:41 in the morning. However, when looking back at the actual time of departure and arrival on the Lufthansa app, it seems they show the times that the aircraft pushed back and parked up, not the actual takeoff and landing. Very pleased to see that Lufthansa do a good job at keeping their passengers up to date with any delays. Soon enough, the boarding process started. Now let's get on board the 747. I boarded through the second door, which is where the stairs to the upper deck are. Behind that door is the premium economy cabin, which is laid out in a 2-4-2 configuration. Then there is the main economy cabin, which is laid out in a 3-4-3 configuration. My seat on this flight is seat 39 Alpha. At my seat waiting for me was a blanket, a pillow, and an amazing view of the left wing. The crew handed out earphones for the in-flight entertainment system, but while the safety video was being shown, which I found very strange. So that's us on board. Let's go to New York. We departed from runway 25 center at 11:41 a.m., which is 36 minutes behind schedule. Now let's have a look at the seat. The legroom in economy on Lufthansa's 747-400s is very generous for someone who is roughly 6 feet tall. The seat back pocket contained an in-flight shopping magazine, which has a very good selection of things to buy. There was even some aircraft memorabilia on offer. The seat back pocket comes in handy because you can use it to store your belongings. The tray table is a pretty good size and does extend, but only by a little bit. It also has a few cup holders. Under the in-flight entertainment system, there is a safety card and an onboard delights menu. Here is a look at the safety card. The selection of snacks and drinks on the onboard delights menu was rather limited. However, in the end, it didn't really matter because the crew didn't come round the cabin asking anyone if they wanted to buy anything from the onboard delights menu, which was a little disappointing. The in-flight entertainment system has a USB port so you can charge your personal devices, and it has a very good selection of movies, TV shows, kids stuff, music, and a few games. You will definitely find something to keep you entertained on a long flight. There is also an in-flight map which shows you where the aircraft is in the world, how long the flight has to go, how long it's been since takeoff, and the local times at the destination and where you took off from. That is definitely something that us Av geeks love to watch throughout the flight. It definitely kept me entertained while I was sat in my seat. You can also tilt the in-flight entertainment system upwards, which comes in handy if you're a tall person. There is a button on the side of the armrest which controls the seat's recline, and the recline is pretty good on these economy class seats. The seats also have adjustable headrests. The crew came around the cabin with the first drink service. I opted for a cup of Sprite. They also handed out a cracker mix bag, which wasn't all that enjoyable because the crackers were stale. Good thing I had my cup of Sprite to wash the crackers down with. I decided to have a wander around the cabin, take some shots of the wings and engines from some of the doors, and use the bathroom. The bathrooms on board were clean and almost in good working order. I say almost in good working order because there was no water coming out of the tap. However, the other bathrooms I used did have water coming out of the taps, so that was probably just an issue with this specific bathroom. Keep in mind that not all of the bathrooms have a baby changing table. Now let's have a look at the views from some of the doors. When I got back to my seat, the crew were serving lunch. I decided to have the chicken and rice, which was served with vegetables, a bread roll, and a piece of chocolate cake. I also had a cup of Sprite since there was another drink service. Soon after dinner, the crew handed out a bottle of water for each passenger. Not long before we started descending, the crew handed out hot towels and also another drink service. This time I decided to have a cup of water. I spent most of the flight watching some films on the in-flight entertainment system, but when I was wandering around the cabin, I had a chat with the flight attendants and told them about how I took this specific flight to New York so I could fly on the 747-400, which they were very enthusiastic about. They were even more impressed when I showed them my Boeing 747 Queen of the Skies t-shirt that I was wearing for the occasion. With that being said, enjoy the approach and landing clips into New York's JFK Airport. We landed onto JFK Airport's runway 31 right at 1:10 p.m, which is 45 minutes ahead of schedule. This was definitely an amazing flight. The crew were very friendly and professional, the seats were very comfortable, the in-flight entertainment system had a very good selection of movies, TV shows, games, music, and more. The moving map is also a great feature on the IFE. The meal I had wasn't exactly all that good, however that's probably just a personal opinion because the other passengers seemed to have enjoyed it. The only thing about the meal I didn't like was the sauce that the chicken and rice had on it, but like I said, that's just a personal opinion. I don't know what type of sauce it was, but I didn't like it. I did eat some of the chicken and rice, but not all of it. Other than that small personal complaint about the food and the minor disappointment that there was nothing from the onboard delights menu on offer, everything else about the flight was amazing. Now on to the price I paid for this flight. I paid £400.52 for the economy light fare, which is the cheapest fare on any Lufthansa flight. The economy light fare entitles you to travel with one carry-on bag, a bag that fits under the seat in front of you, and a meal on board. I also paid an extra £27.47 for seat selection. This means I paid a total of £427.99. In my opinion, that is such a good price to pay for a flight between anywhere in Europe and New York City. The real highlight of this flight was being able to fly on board the Boeing 747-400. In fact, that's the reason I took this specific flight, so I could fly on board the Queen of the Skies. I am so happy that after all these years, I finally managed to make a trip report on board a 747-400 because the 747 is my favourite aircraft type and there aren't that many airlines operating the passenger configured 747s as a result of a lot of airlines retiring their fleet of 747s back in 2020. A massive thanks to the pilots for allowing me to visit the cockpit. After visiting the cockpit, it was time to disembark the aircraft, meaning that my time on board this Boeing 747 was coming to an end. Once we disembarked the aircraft, all there was left to do was go through passport control and have my passport and electronic system for travel authorization, or ESTA, checked. Once that was done, I was able to enjoy my holiday/vacation in New York City. And that concludes my trip from Frankfurt to New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport with Lufthansa on board one of their Boeing 747-400 aircraft. This flight was such a good one and is one that I will never truly forget. Thank you all so much for watching this trip report. Stay safe and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.